When I look back on my life, I remember first thinking when I was a child whether I would ever get a family of my own with a wife and kids and a nice job. In those days, the future seemed distant and wide open, and I was surrounded by impressions that I was too young to grasp. Impressions went by like water reflecting in natural surroundings. The smell of trees and water and dead leaves I still remember from that time. I grew up through school, accepting the system and trying to do reasonably well. I enjoyed many friendships, but none really captured my imagination in the way I would have hoped. After I married, I was introduced to the joys of family life and the all-absorbing task of taking care of dependents. I often took my children through the woods and had a strong sense of everything growing around me. I worked from home. I was a carpenter and loved the feel of wood in my hands and the smell of sawdust on the floor. There were periods when times were hard, but I was able to provide for my house and family throughout the growing up period of my kids. My eldest child, a boy, often asked me questions that I was unable to answer about life, God, suffering, and all the big mysteries. Neither my wife nor I could give convincing answers. My younger child, my daughter, was more content with just the simple business of living, but I was left with a need to know the answers to more than everyday living. My wife died 10 years ago, a terrible blow for me. The kids had left home already and had started lives of their own, but I was without one of the most important persons in my life. I would sit alone in the evenings and reflect on my loss, though thankfully not in self-pity. So now my life is rounding off and I am still reflecting. So many good times, so many challenging times, but how wonderful they all seem now. My life is being illuminated from within, as if it is time for me to move forward in a spiritual direction. With great gratitude, I leave behind my life and welcome a future as distant and wide open as when I was a child.